Throughout aviation history, there have been aircraft that were expected to revolutionise the field, but which failed because the science just wasn't quite up to it. Often these failings would reveal themselves in tragedy, sparking inquiries that would ultimately reveal that some element in science's understanding of metallurgy, chemistry, or aeronautics was flawed. And today's aircraft, the Rutland Reindeer, is a perfect example of this, though admittedly sources are somewhat contradictory on some elements of the aircraft's design. The Reindeer was a product of the British Rutland Aircraft Company and originated from a parliamentary committee's recommendations that mapped out the path for the British aviation industry in the post-World War II period. This projected the rise of commercial international flight becoming standard after the war, especially in the transatlantic market, and the Reindeer was a result of the committee's request to British aviation to create an aircraft to fulfill this expected need. The prediction was perfectly correct, and indeed long-haul flights did soon become the norm. And with the Reindeer, Rutland Aircraft really pulled out the stops, creating a truly cutting-edge design that, had things worked out differently, then perhaps it wouldn't be the American builders that came to dominate the market, but instead Rutland Aircraft. But that wasn't to be, as will become apparent. The Reindeer was the creation of legendary designer E.P. Prendergast and embodied the most advanced technology available of the day, with the prototype making first flight on April 1st, 1947. Capable of a maximum range of 3,200 miles, the Reindeer could carry up to 70 passengers in considerable comfort and had an extensive flight crew of 5 made up of pilot, co-pilot, radio operator, radar operator and a flight engineer. Power plant was initially 8 of the new Rutland RP-1A turbocharged piston engines, which each produced 2,000 horsepower. These were paired up with 2 in each of the 4 wing nacelles, driving a contra-rotating propeller, a revolutionary concept for the day, though some sources do contest this, and there is some pictorial evidence that in fact it was a single propeller on each nacelle. Work was also advanced in fitting jet engines to the aircraft as standard in the next projected models, but this fitting would ultimately never come to pass. Because of the Reindeer's prodigious size, it required some very advanced engineering, with the tailplane using a rather peculiar biplane arrangement to give the aircraft additional stability and lift. In addition, the Reindeer utilised a brand new form of high-strength aluminium alloy throughout its construction. The Reindeer, with its excellent performance and passenger capability, along with its futuristic looks, certainly drew a great deal of attention, and a sale was made even before testing was completed to the Central Air Transport Organisation, CATO, which rapidly put the Reindeer into service. And the aircraft was a smash hit. Crews reportedly loved the aircraft, as did the passengers, and the Reindeer looked set to become a mainstream aircraft on the international market. And then the problem started. The first aircraft in service, the original prototype, was lost on the 27th of March 1948 when it crashed in Canada while on a London to Ottawa flight. This caused an international incident because amongst the 31 passengers and crew killed was the new Soviet ambassador to Canada. The crash was written off as being due to pilot error in poor visibility conditions, but already suspicions about the new aircraft were circulating. At the Royal Aircraft Establishment at Farnborough, there was a theory that the new alloy used in the construction of the Reindeer may be subject to structural failure caused by vibration, which would cause the tail to fail after just over 1,400 flight hours. Things took a dramatic turn when one of the researchers exploring this theory sabotaged a Reindeer he was travelling on by raising the undercarriage while the aircraft was on the ground at Gander Airport in Canada. Apparently, the researcher, Theodore Honey, had calculated that this aircraft was approaching its failure rate and acted to save the crew and passengers. Naturally, this resulted in what could mildly be described as a hoo-ha, but despite a lot of mud being flung around by those with a vested interest in the success of the Reindeer, Honey's concerns on the failure rate of the aircraft proved correct when vibration testing and the discovery of the crashed Reindeer's tail, which was found some 30 miles from the crash site, proved that the aircraft did indeed have a critical structural flaw. This was in fact swiftly rectified, and an attempt to cover up the problem with the Rutland Reindeer made in order to allow the type's continued operation. Unfortunately, the publication of a whistleblower book, swiftly followed by a film on the affair starring Jimmy Stewart, blew the story wide open. This rapidly killed public confidence in the Rutland Reindeer, and the aircraft was taken out of service in 1953 when passengers simply refused to fly on it. And this spelt the end for the Reindeer, an exceptionally innovative aircraft that was a classic example of an aeroplane that reached too far and asked just too much from the science of the day. Thanks to John Dell at the Dinger Aviation website once again for helping with this video, and check out some of these other videos about aircraft that were perhaps a little too good to be true.